And then really, hi, Taylor again, sorry, I got really into it. And then really to drive the point home before I continue on into what high school was like for me. Um, I also want to talk about how, given all of this thoughts about like the talk of sexualization from such a young age, that part of me did awaken fairly early. I won't go into details because that's gross, but I will say that I developed attraction to women first. Um, Full force. Like I had no attraction to men in the beginning. And that was like a weird secret to keep to myself. Um, I remember that I had been shortly after we had moved to this new place where my dad had worked, um, that it was discovered on our group, like our family, we all shared like the same app thing. It's like Google, I think it's like the old version of Google Play. I don't know. I'm just a girl, but all I know is I downloaded an app that pertained to being interested in women, and the whole family saw it. Um, and my mother and B blamed my father. Um, Again, sorry, Dad. But it had been me, and I remember being mortified, and I remember thinking, like, they're never gonna love me. Like, this is just another thing to add to the shit pile that is my life. Um, and so that had happened before we moved here, before I had even met the Catholic schoolboy. Um, so that had been like way in the making, right? Like I had discovered that part of myself very early on, but this is when it kind of came to a head. Um, because by this point, obviously, with the Catholic school boy, I did develop attraction to men. I did develop romantic interest towards men. And if I'm being honest with you, as I've gotten older, my attraction to women is still there, but it is significantly lessened. It is primarily male now. Um, and I want to talk about the fact that that summer leading up, I had been there for the eighth grade year, right? Like, so I had spent this year with at this new school, this middle school, uh, and I remember this girl. Her name was also Taylor. She spelled it differently, but she had targeted me because on the first field trip of the year, this boy, unbeknownst to me, who was in a relationship with her, had hit on me and made it very evidently clear that he's attracted to me, and we had talked. Um, and so once I found out they were dating, I felt scummy, to be honest. I felt gross. Um, but that didn't matter because I became like the talk of that school. Like my name was in the stalls and bathrooms. So even when I was out of the woods of being bullied for not being clean, I was now in the woods for being bullied for being a slut, which is what I'd always been told I was gonna be anyway. Um, So that year ends. I'm pretty messed up that whole year, and I'm really hard on myself about it because I don't understand why, and I don't have these names for emotions that I have, and I don't have anything other than to call them character flaws, mannerisms that I've developed over time. Um, and it was at this time that I really started getting into my writing. I still have some of the books. Maybe I'll show them one day, but um, they were just they weren't very well written, obviously. I was very young. Well, I was young, but I just poured my soul into these. And also around the same time, um, the suicidal ideation I had developed at such a young age turned into something more. And I felt trapped in my body and in my life, suffocated at any given point, and I developed this such intense and overwhelming and all-consuming anxiety. I Now that people were talking to me and paying attention to me, it became just horror at the thought of saying the wrong thing. Like I remember my cat's talking, sorry. I'm not sorry, they're good boys. But anyway, shit, I lost my train of thought. That was my napping alarm. I guess you're just getting all the background details today. I apologize. AK just texted me, speaking of which, we love that. Anyway, let me see if I can figure out what the fuck I was talking about, respectfully. Oh, yes. I don't know if this is what I was talking about, this is what I'm gonna say next. And so, like the suicidal ideation had turned into more. The anxiety thing, it got to the point where I couldn't breathe. Um, when I was talking to people, I couldn't stand the thought. I would still try, but I was like literally choking on my breath. My chest would turn bright red and blotchy. My face would. I would shake. Um, I was just terrified of people. I was. I was terrified of people, but at the same time, I was so desperate for their validation and their support and their love that I did anything they wanted. I tried to be everything that a person could want in a friend. Um, but nobody tells you when you do that, that when nobody dislikes you, that's a telltale sign that something's wrong. When nobody disagrees with you, that's a telltale sign that maybe you're going about things the wrong way. But at the time, I was just like, yeah, I'm impossible to like. I am. Like, you have to agree, I'm impossible to like, right? Like, I'm great. Um, and then all the while, I started self-harming. I was terrified that anybody would ever find out the extent of my opinions for myself. And so on my upper thighs, um, where the shorts would cover, I broke apart shaving razors and would use that to self-harm. Um, and then to really add insult to injury, I had a bottle of rubbing alcohol that I would spray into the open wounds, um, because I wanted it to hurt and I was terrified of it getting infected. My husband's home, so I'm gonna make another video in a minute.